And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Howdy folks, today we're taking a look at a game called Vudu. Yes, it's Voodoo, but spelled incorrectly. A wicked and crazy game for all the sorcerers from 3 to 6 players. This is a Yahtzee style game, except this is a Yahtzee style game where maybe I have to hold my finger on my nose for the, well, not the whole game, but for a pretty long time. Is that fun? Let's find out. Each player is going to start with one recipe card that costs 2 ingredients. You're going to have different recipe cards here, or curse cards, I guess. And they have a different ingredient cost on the bottom. And if you do them, you're going to get that many points. You will then play the curse on someone else, and if they mess up, you'll get the points at the top. So there's different points on them. Points are scored actually on a track that's inside the box. So you'll be moving along this track. The first person to 11 is the winner. So what you're trying to do on your turn is trying to cast a curse card from your hand. So when it's your turn, you have the Voodoo doll, yay, and then you're going to roll these dice here. When you roll dice, you can re-roll, but each time that you re-roll, you have to get rid of a die. So I might be like, ooh, I want to keep that green die there, and I want to re-roll the rest, so I'll get rid of one die and re-roll these. And you can do that as many times as you want. Now here I have the 2 greens, so I can pay those to play this card. Sneeze Malignus. Before passing the Voodoo, the target must sneeze. So I play this on another player, and before they pass this on to another person, they have to sneeze. If I ever catch them not doing it, I will score another point. I get a point for playing the card, period. And so players have lots of different things that they can do. Before rolling the dice, the target must hiss like a snake. The target must hold his head with a hand. The target elbows must always touch. The hands of the target must touch each other. The target must keep his head on the table. Before passing the Voodoo, the target must scratch his head. Before rolling the dice, the target must squeak like a mouse. The target must keep one hand on an enemy's shoulder, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what these cards are doing. Now, playing these cards is not the only thing you can do with the dice that you've rolled. You can also draw another curse card, and that costs 2. You can also draw an artifact. Playing an artifact is free. These are basically things you can play on someone else. Shout out loud. The player who cursed you must choose another target. So you play this when someone is trying to target you. There's also this one here. Discard a die and rotate another one to the side you prefer. Or here, make a thunder noise. You can re-roll the dice. Now, as players are scoring points over here, they're going to, there's 3 spots here on the track, on spots 3, 6, and 9. When they hit those spots, they're going to draw a permanent curse card. This says, before rolling the dice, expand your aura, close your hands, and cry, "Oh!" If you forget it, you can roll just 3 dice. Before rolling the dice, stand up and make winning gestures, looking out for imaginary friends. If you forget this, you can throw only 3 dice this turn. These never go away, but they have a penalty that you have to pay when you don't do them, and you'll get one each time you pass these. That's pretty much the whole game. As soon as someone gets to 11, that player is the winner. If you watch our live playthroughs, you'll see that we are silly in games. We like to do funny things and kind of goof off in games. I find that very entertaining. What is not quite so fun for us is when we are told to be silly. And that is exactly what Voodoo does. It says, hey, you, be silly. Now, there's a lot of these games that tell you to be silly. This one, the thing that sets it apart from others is it's mixing it with a kind of a Yahtzee thing. Roll dice. Meanwhile, keeping your elbows together. Ah! Okay, there's no question. That sort of thing is funny. But, I don't know, it comes across more annoying many times than funny. Now, there's a couple problems I have with the game other than that one. One is that the production for the dice are fine, but using the box as a scoring track, bad idea, not a very good quality. The cards are okay quality. There's not that many cards. I mean, this almost feels cheaply done. I mean, they could have put in lots of curses, and the permanent curses, I believe, how many are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is not many permanent curses. Is there 10? There's not very many of these permanent curses at all, and that's just kind of... Why not? Why isn't there more of these things here? The dice, you're rolling them trying to get different symbols, but it doesn't seem that inspired. You're just rolling stuff. The symbols are pumpkins and curses, and they look great. The dice are great, but they just don't seem to have any kind of meaning. And those cards, you kind of roll, okay, well, I didn't get what I want. I guess I'll draw another card. I guess I'll draw one of these cards and hope it's good. And then the whole thing being silly. Look, his head's on the table. And at least the game lets you I don't want to put my head on the table anymore. I'll just lift it up and give the other person points. But sometimes that can cause someone to win the game, so you're stuck doing something idiotically annoying until somebody wins. Fortunately, the game is not long. And I didn't hate every moment of it. There's fun moments in the game, and people are like, look what they're doing. But again, standing on one leg might be funny. You telling me to stand on one leg? Not so humorous. Me talking on a funny tone of voice? That can be funny. Me doing it because the card says so? Less so. There's a lot of these type games out there anyway. So even if you like this style of game, what does this one do differently than the rest? You're doing these funny things while rolling dice. Unfortunately, for this game, that's not good enough to save it. Dice Tower Judgment, I like silly, but this is too silly for me.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.